One such issue is social mobility, and for me, it's personal. So I take you back to when I was 16 years old, and I was full of ambition in the sense that I wanted to go to university. I was the first generation of my family to go to university, if I actually did got there. And I sat in front of my careers advisor, and I said to him, "Well, look, I want to go to university, and I think I want to study law. And I wanted to study law, unfortunately, not down to this desire to right the wrongs of social injustices, is because I'd watched LA Law and they had really nice suits. And I didn't want to be poor because we lived in pretty much abject poverty most of my childhood. But the response to that kind of desire and that ambition, well, this was his exact words. People from your council estate don't go to university. As for law, you'll see the inside of a prison cell, but that's the closest you'll get to a career in law." Now, obviously, very inspirational words, and really kind of put the fire in my belly to prove him wrong. But I think, that's why social mobility is important to me. But I think the more interesting question is actually, what does it mean to me? And why do I believe it's important at society level? And then we'll come on to ESMA and the reasons why I think that as a project is important for us to do in working with Red Badger. So the concept of social mobility is often criticised. It's a lot of people will refer to it as simply being a quest to add working class kids to the elite and not addressing, therefore, the underlying social inequality in society. But that's not a definition I subscribe to. My definition really focuses on the movement. So taking individuals from low income backgrounds and enabling them to move towards their career goals uninhibited by their socio-economic background. So in short, your background shouldn't impact your future. So it's not just about kids from council estates becoming lawyers. Now, for those in the US, a council estate is a social housing project. So yes, nobody thought I was going to do anything, and hopefully I've managed to achieve something in my short time on this earth. So why ESMA? Well, ESMA is an alliance. It's not a thing. It will never be an entity. We don't need more things which need more funding, but then competing for that money, which is one of the big problems that the third sector suffers from in terms of addressing social issues. So ESMA is an idea that was born out of my frustration about the lack of joined up action when we see organs of state, business and third sector trying to combat issues relating to coming from a low income. And I saw this at ground level over the last 5 years. I set up a charity back in 2017, and prior to that it was a scheme. And the whole focus of this charity is about getting a coalition of action around providing work experience and lifetime career coaching to individuals from low-income backgrounds. A lot of this focus on getting people into work, but not thinking about the imposter syndrome. I think it took me until I was 41 to feel really comfortable in my own skin in the working environment. I think people forget that because you don't necessarily have the tools that, say, my children will have in terms of the support network around them. So the Social Mobility Business Partnership kicked off at 2017. I did this whilst working as a general counsel at the broadcaster ITV, and also as a NED at our regulatory body for solicitors in the UK. And I think, having read Professor Cantor's book, we don't necessarily need to wait until we retire and free up time. I think we can do things right now. And I think doing things right now is really important, not least for the way in which you as a leader present yourself to your teams and whether or not they can believe that you care about them as an individual, their development, when in fact you don't give a crap about the community around you. So as a tool in leadership, if you want to be utterly selfish about this and you don't have a burning passion to change something, it will benefit you as a leader to embrace the principles that Professor Cantor espouses in her book. So SMBPs, 150 different businesses, each sharing the heavy lifting, coming together to deliver work experience, and also creating a pool of coaches who can assist students throughout their careers. Now, we set up these franchises. We're effectively the McDonald's of law, of work experience provision. It's providing that operational glue to enable the spinning up of these weeks with 4 different businesses in the professional sports club. And we've set up in about 15, 16 cities across the UK, from Belfast to Bristol. But each and every time that we set something up, we look to see how we can collaborate. What local charities are already working there? Let's work with them to work with the students they've already identified. Why go in fresh? It's not a competition. Equally, we'll go to the businesses and get them to join together. So effectively, their only ask is a day's worth of content and some sandwiches. we'll then go out to the local authority and say, look, what other social impact programs have you got going on? How can we build a bridge between you and local businesses beyond the week that we're helping to set up? Now, there are some amazing cities like Glasgow and Belfast who are really on point with this stuff, but there are other cities who are literally walking around as ships passing in the night. And so for me, I was just born out, absolutely frustrating. My God, if you put this here, this here, this here, and people talk together and work together, the impact would be immense. So whilst we were cracking on and building the franchise and building more clusters and introducing more businesses to each other, I kind of parked an idea in my head that something needed to be done to tackle this, to kind of give us a route map on where things were, how things worked, how they could work better, i.e. bringing what we as business professionals do in our everyday life to create operational efficiency and applying it to a social issue. Now, that's essentially what ESMA is. So what is it? Well, one thing I just need to say, because it just popped up, one of my alumni and my mentee, Mohammed, today has just got a training contract with Hogan Lovells, just found out in the last 5 minutes. So he's one of the alumni of the scheme, and he'll be in the Q&A later. So I'm just bubbling over about that. So we'll hear from him. Sorry, that just flashed up, so I just had to say it. So vision for ESMA. What is ESMA? It's an alliance of organisations in the same way as the SMBP is. It's about working together to identify the problem in the first instance. It's quite clear that the information that you would need to understand in your disposal to understand the issue of low income, specifically in the UK to begin with, but this could branch out, is in all the different places. And I know where it is because I've been doing this for a long time now. You go to the DFE site, you go to the Sutton Trust, you go to the Social Mobility Commission, the Careers and Enterprise Company, the National Citizens Service, all quangos, businesses, individual reports, the Bridge Group, working with various corporates to deliver their own specific reports on a different nuance of the economy. But people haven't got the time to navigate those areas and really understand it. So first point, of course, in order to solve a problem, you need to understand what it is. And so ESMA's first mission, which Red Badger has so beautifully helped us achieve, which will be disclosed to the world next week, is to create that wraparound understanding in a digital form of what low income means and what impact it has on you in terms of achieving your career goals. Secondly, we wanted to then surface all of the great initiatives that were working and enable people to stop reinventing the wheel if they wanted to do something in this space. We also wanted then to use the operational acumen of the people we were recruiting, some 300 individuals so far, and there's room for more because we are looking to boil the bloody ocean on this. And so the more people can help us with their little pans to boil it, the better. So ultimately, we're going to operation review what these initiatives we've mapped are doing and how we can make them more effective. And then the icing on the cake for us will be the creation of an incubator fund, which will then utilize that money to play that as a license fee to holders of best practice. And we can then take that material and then push it out on a Creative Commons basis to other organizations of a similar nature elsewhere in the UK. So we start to cross-fertilize best practice. So that's our ambition, and dream big. And I've always subscribed to dreaming big. I still think I might one day dance the Royal Ballet, but you know what? I'm not going to be dissuaded from that anytime soon. So dreaming big is great, but it's how do you then take that idea and that ambition and make it real? Well, you need one thing, it turns out, just one. It's a badger. Who knew? And preferably a red one, because I must say, working Red Badger has been an absolute joy. The way in which the team have embraced the idea, and actually from the starting point, it wasn't simply, this is a digital design agency, this is what you want to execute, we'll build you a website. The starting point was a discovery exercise that went and started at the emotional level of, okay, who are the people that you want to see this, and what emotional response do you want to elicit from them? And let's work backwards from that, and then we'll then, forget about your preconceptions about how this should be laid out or work. Let's think about what you're trying to achieve in terms of the emotional response and the call to arms. And we dove deep into the kind of psychology of the individuals who would be using this site. And it was amazing. It's possibly the best week of my working life. the energy, the passion, the focus on social change was just, it was marvelous, absolutely marvelous. And I must give a special mention though to my fellow bearded Barry, who you'll meet in a bit, who donated his 6 months sabbatical from PwC to getting out and meeting people and understanding the initiatives we needed to map, working with the Red Badger team as well. Mainly, I was inputting, Barry was driving it. And it's just been such a wonderful, reinvigorating project to work on. And I feel very lucky to be a part of it. And huge thanks from me. Over back to you, Kane.